Morning, and we are excited to be back on Public Square for this week, a program that discusses topical issues from the standpoint of the people. Good morning, I'm Olabisi Olani Yoluashegun. On the program today, we have two important issues on our burner. We're going to be looking at these issues, and then I'll also open the port for Nigerians to be part of the discussion this morning. These issues are going to be analyzed by my discussants in the studio. The first is the inauguration of Dangote Refinery in Lagos, in Lekki, Lagos, the economic impact of this. And of course, we'll look at the upcoming inauguration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be held on May 29. Everything is being put in place already. Preparations are in top gear for this big event. But you would also agree with me that there are a lot of theatrics and dynamics that have been happening ahead of this inauguration. We have litigation still pending in court, so we have political manipulations going on everywhere. And also, we even have some people already throwing in threats from different quarters regarding this inauguration. And government has also spoken regarding some of these threats. All of this we'll look at on the show this morning. Welcome you once again. We'll go on a short break. We'll be back, and then I'll introduce my studio guest to you. All right, welcome back. It's Public Square, and this morning I'll be chatting with Mr. Tayo Adu. Mr. Tayo Adu is the publisher of Southwest Herald magazine and a public analyst. It's good to have you in the studio this morning.
Thank you for having me. And listeners at home, thanks for listening.
We also will be speaking with Barrister Femi Omoshua, who is a regular on the show. He will be here in a moment now. He will also tell us what he feels about some of these issues. As I said earlier, just this week, on the 22nd of May precisely, Nigeria saw a very big shift, paradigm shift, so to speak. The inauguration of Dangote Refinery in Lekki, free trade zone in Lagos, was one Nigerians talked about. Even before the inauguration, it's been in the news that this would happen. And eventually it happened in Lagos. And Nigerians, and especially economists, have been saying different things regarding what this would portend for Nigeria's economy, how it would affect the face of the country's socio-development as well. Let's quickly give some sort of background information to what the Dangote Refinery entails. As I said, it was inaugurated on the 22nd of May 2023 and is expected to start production fully in July with a capacity to produce about 650,000 barrels of crude oil per day, which is very huge, making it the largest single train refinery in the world. The investment was valued or is valued at 19 billion US dollar, and most importantly, it's been projected that this will provide about 135,000 permanent jobs in Nigeria. So it's a whole lot. A lot is actually going on with the Dangote Refinery. Well, what's your take on this?
Well, I think Dangote, the advent of Dangote Refinery, in Nigeria, it's a process of challenging the federal government, to doing what is expected of the government. How do I mean? If we have 4 refineries as a people, and the 4 refineries are not, non-functional, automatically it's saying that something somewhere is wrong. And now an individual has set up, a private, refinery, Dangote, and a date was put to the completion of this refinery, and the refinery had been commissioned, which means when there is a will, there is a way. And that's going to be a huge, and it's going to be a very big challenge, throwing a challenge at the federal government, for owned, refineries that we needed to put things, in shape and in place. And again, if you look at it, it's going to assist, is already assisting, the country, to reduce heavily the high rate of unemployment. When an establishment has a capacity to employ over 100,000 people, graduates, experts, over 100,000. That's, taking a chunk out of, the labor market. And that's assisting the government again, to stabilize, the economy. And if you look at the spillover effect of Dangote refineries in the environs, in the entire state of Lagos, and this brings, it bleeds my heart that we lost in Ondo State, that we lost the wonderful opportunity to be, a major beneficiary of Dangote refinery in Ondo State. It makes me, it makes my heart, to bleed that such a wonderful opportunity, was mismanaged and bungled. That today, this.
If talking about the site of the refinery, do you think that if it had been located or sited here, because we have such issues also in Ogun State, where one ex-governor and the sitting governor are already trading words regarding what happened when it was proposed to be sited in Ogun State. But do you think if that project was sited elsewhere, apart from Lagos, would it have reached its full potential?
Why not? The potential capacity of Ondo State, in housing such, an investment was not in doubt. Dangote would not have considered, a place that is not viable, for its, huge investment. And don't forget that I saw the former governor of Ondo State, I saw the former CBN governor, I saw, the captains of industries when, initially they were making the preparation. So it has gone beyond, would they have been able to be viable? No, it was because it was viable. That was why Dangote came to, and of course, but, in fact, we need explanation. We need to know, for the sake of posterity, how we lost the opportunity to be the host of Dangote Refinery, because it will have transformed and added serious economic value, to the economy of the state. Are we sure that it is not because of pecuniary gains, or greediness that has made us, to lost out in being the host of Dangote Refinery? Today, Lagos is smiling. Lagos is already, an economic, of course, active center in this country, and of course, even in Africa. But today, with the addition of, Dangote Refinery, you can only imagine the level of, additional IGR that will be added, the rate of unemployment that would have been reduced in their state. Of course, do you want to quantify the benefits that the host community would have? Of course, that would have been a percentage. That out of the workforce, maybe so percentage goes to the host community. Now we're not going to be having, that opportunity.
All right, we're still dwelling on this new innovation. I mean, Africa's largest refinery. That's a very huge feat for Nigeria. What do you think this would solve? Would put an end to Nigeria's energy problems? Is it a long-term solution to the problems Nigeria currently has, Barrister Mashua?
Yeah, I want to congratulate Nigerians for this wonderful feat, and I want to congratulate the president-elect that this is running contemporaneous his government, because the government will take off in a matter of days. And as it has always been seen or presumed that it's an achiever, I want to believe
a carrier of good fortunes.
It in fact, it's loaded with good fortunes.
That's what they say.
And Dangote Refinery, wonderful, single train,
largest single train.
And what that means is that it can dispense products while the crude is being programmed into the system. It can separate many products. That is the first in the world. Dangote Refinery is the 7th largest refinery in the world. The biggest is in India.
Africa.
Is in India.
Okay, so the biggest in Africa.
The largest in Africa, and it portends, or it goes to show that we a lot of unrefined products will be coming from other countries to Nigeria, unlike the way it used to be before, that we need to take our crude oil outside the shores of Nigeria, then we now bring it back again. So we have it now at our backyard, and it goes to show that with the level with which we are now buying products, AGO, DPK, PMS, it will reduce. But I will warn Nigerians, especially the new government, not to believe that the uhuru is made as far as this is concerned. What do I mean by this? Depending on Dangote Refinery alone as a nation will suffer us. Dangote has been producing cement. It has not reduced the price of cement in Nigeria, the hardship. Dangote has been producing sugar. Dangote has been producing spaghetti. It has not made those things to come down. So, for the fact that we are having this now, goes to show that, okay, Dangote is just a palliative measure. Nigeria government should go and revive their own refineries. Why Dangote is doing his business, and with the understanding that we have 20% equity with Dangote, we should manage that and see how we can maintain our reservoir for products while we bring up our own. That is the only solution. If we depend on Dangote, Nigeria Nigeria's case will be like a case of a town where a house where the elderly one dies, and they now put somebody who has a terminal sickness as the head of the family. They will still cry again. So for Nigeria not to experience such, it will be better for them, as we are celebrating and clapping, oh, we have all this and what have you, Dangote has done this, we should revive our own. Takisa and Itato.
Okay, many believe already that the inauguration of this refinery is a step towards self-sufficiency in the energy sector, especially in Nigeria, before we even look at the continent as a whole. What do you think government should do as a way of complementing, just like he said, a way of complementing this effort so that Nigeria can get out of the quagmire of deficits in what's it called, power supply and everything?
Yes, like I said, we have our own before Dangote came on board. We have 4 refineries that are probably not refining anything, and now the government should come up with a determination to make this viable, to make these 4 refineries, just like I said earlier, that the inauguration of Dangote Refinery should be seen as a challenge thrown at the federal government. And I am happy, like the president-elect that is going to be inaugurated in the next few days is a man who is a man of vision, a man who had actually conceived the seaport years before now. Babajide Sanwo-Olu said it during the inauguration.
The free trade zone.
Yeah, sorry, the free trade zone. That he has conceived long years before, and now that is coming into the presidency as the #1 citizen of the country, and he's seen what Dangote has been able to do to achieve. I don't think it should be a rocket science for the 4 refineries in Nigeria to function, and again grant license to established with proven integrity organizations that can come up with other refineries to make this thing easy, so that when there is competition, like my brother here rightly said, so that we will not just go back. Like, how much are we buying a bag of cement? Dangote, that was the time, Dangote, this, Dangote, that, Dangote, has that actually reduced, the rate in that people at which the masses get it. But now, if there are 2 or 3, 4 places where these things are being refined, and the 4 federal government owned refineries are functional, automatically we can begin to sign a sign of relief that our the rate at which you get fuel pump price is going to even be drastically reduced.
Okay, that said, let me quickly tell our listener that you can also be part of the conversation. As I said earlier, we'll open the ports when the time is right. You can also drop your messages, your comments on Facebook. We're live on Facebook at Daba 88.9 FM on Facebook. That's where you'll be able to watch us live and drop your comments. And while I was introducing today's show, I said we have two topics, two issues on our burner intertwined. All still boils down to governance. And on May 29, Nigeria will see another major event, and that's the inauguration of the President-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I mean, events have been happening. The build-up has been really, really intense, so to speak. We have issues here and there regarding the credibility of the election that in the first place brought him to power. There are issues in court. There have been threats that some people are planning to boycott this inauguration. The government has spoken that anyone who wants to be a scapegoat should go ahead and do or make good their threats. But that would not change the fact, except there is any last-minute change, that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be inaugurated as Nigeria's president on May 29. Now, Barrister Moshiwa, these issues put together, what are your concerns? What are your posts? What do you think could be what Nigerians would expect or would see on the 29th of May?
Yeah. The apparent truth is that in every society, there is bound to be some element of shenaniganism. You see some people who will just constitute themselves as destitutes for no reason. Some will want to say they are anarchists. They want to put law into their hands. They just want to do whatever they like what happened during the inauguration of the king in England. You see some people, they say, it's not my king. Yeah, you ask, why are you saying this? They may have their reason. But I can assure you of one thing, and I want you to take it to the bank, that 99.5% of Nigerians, they welcome this development. And what is the development? This new government that is coming. Some of them might have not even voted, even for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But for the fact that later they have a rethink and begin to take a cursory look at the performance of the man, juxtaposing it with the performance of the person that is going, the outgoing president. Yes, some people might say, oh, the outgoing president has not done well. In some areas, you still give it to him. Yes, expectations were very high. Expectations were very high, especially for a man that had contested election 3 times, and people now juxtapose it with what happened in 1983 during war against his discipline, this, that, and what have you. But what they now saw, they say, why? But when you now look at, when you put it side by side with what Asiwaju Bola Ahmed had done in Lagos, and the way he had affected people's life positively, the way he has made, even suggested, even the present vice president of Nigeria, the way he has made governors, the way he has even the way he has entrenched on democratic structure as far as the nation is concerned, the way he has cut across, the way he has made himself a symbol of peace, of bringing people together. There is nowhere in Nigeria, there is no state in Nigeria that you talk about Bola Ahmed Tinubu that you will not see his hands there. So with all this, I want to believe it is a respite, and it is many people believe that a lot of fortunes are in horizon, and Nigeria may not get it right immediately, but somebody will redirect Nigeria to the right path. And with this inauguration, I want to believe, if there is anybody that is That is if there is anybody that is trying to foment trouble. I have seen some people that goes on air, they are protesting, they are doing this. You discover it is the handwriting of people who knew that they never won the election. Because I've come to realize that anybody that will not want Tinubu to be inaugurated is an enemy of Nigeria. On what basis are you going to say it should not be inaugurated? If you say you made third position and you are now asking for first position, well, do you want to kill somebody that made second position? These are issues. So you see them, these are people who do not even have their agents spread all over the whole federation. Who is now going to be your agent in other polling units? These are people who could not even meet up with the constitutionally required points as laid down by the law. So I don't know why these people are crying foul. But as far as the inauguration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is concerned, it is sacrosanct. And I can assure you, as far as security is concerned, I have lived in Abuja throughout all my time, ever since I graduated from university. I know how it has always been done from Wuse to Ademola Adetokunbo, Ademola Adetokunbo Crescent. Nobody will have access when it's about 72 hours. When from Garki, nobody will have access. Nobody can drive through. And on the inauguration day, you trek from those places. And those areas must have been condoned. The security apparatus of this world will have taken care of whatever that will happen there. So if you are the one that want to say you are Lolaya, you are the one that have stone or iron on your chest, you go. You meet your Waterloo.
Okay, well, let's hear Mr. Ado's perspective on this. There are so many issues. Some people are aggrieved at the moment. In court now, there is LP, there is APM, I guess, and there is the PDP as well. Some have already withdrawn their suits against the president-elect and the APC. But that's not to say that there are certain elements within the system that believe that this inauguration is illegal to them, even though the constitution says otherwise. Now, what could be your concerns? Do you have any concerns ahead of the inauguration?
Well, I don't think I have any concern. If there is any concern at all, is a sympathy for those who might end up becoming scapegoats. But on the side of the state, of course, no concern, because you will observe that as we speak, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is being decorated as the GCF, and the GCON, for Shetima. And that's pre, the inauguration. So which means from this, known, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not the same person that, that won the election, even on the election day. So if some people wrote letters to American, government, they wrote letters, Joe Biden already had, nominated people that will be gracing, the inauguration, which means it was an effort in futility. So then why do you cry over spilled milk? All these people that are making, their noises, how do you say you came third and say, no, they should declare you the winner? And you are not challenging the person that came second. Is that not stabbing logic? If a man does not even know the difference between IF and Beavers, you understand that he needed a presidential candidate, and he needed to be lectured on the national television, by a presenter of the program. Then that tells you that Nigeria is actually, should be dancing. That God did not allow, Nigerians to be deceived into electing, a wrong person. And like you see, I want to be sure by the grace of God that May 29 is going. Nigerians will be, be ushered into a glorious new beginning, of a new era. Asiwaju is a go-getter, is a unifier. Forget about anybody called, that cannot unify their family, and they call, this man is a unifier. He has been able, when prior to the election, when I learned he went to France, he had meeting with, somebody, a particular leader of another group. I said, except the meeting did not hold, that if he had meeting with that, that leader, I knew he has a capacity, his negotiating capacity is too strong for you to defeat him. And you will see at the end of the day that it went his way. And it didn't just happen today. is a master strategist. And he's a prepared man for the past 20 years. You understand? Just mention the state where this man had not actually made impact in governance, in people's lives. Even when you are not on his camp. Barrister Fashola said something. Son, he said something. He said, when the issue of Ladoja came up in Oyo State, and it was on a Sunday that he was on I think he usually have his off on Sundays. He will not be bothered. He will go and make his sport, play his sport. He said Asiwaju called him. He said when Asiwaju called him and he showed up, that he should come with the constitution. His constitution. And when he showed up and he was informed that one of us had been impeached, Ladoja, he said he was quick to remind him that, but this person is not in our political party. And he said, Asiwaju said, this is one of us. It's a governor. It's a Nigerian. And if he can be treated that way, we should let the presidency realizes that the constitution is supreme. That's the caliber of the person we're talking about. So when he was, he started his consultation, before he even started campaigning, Ladoja openly declared his support for him, because, he remembered, how the story, started between the two of them. So what I'm saying is Asiwaju's, presidency is going to be a different one entirely. Nigeria should be thanking God and should be prayerful, because we know something positive is coming out in this country through him. And excuse me, he said something. He said, I will make, during his campaign, he said tough decisions will be made.
Okay, talking about making tough decisions, there cannot be the beginning of an era without the end of one. I mean, the Buhari administration is what is ushering us into the renewed hope administration now. But a lot of people have been raising concerns about the way the Buhari administration is winding down with, last minute appointments being made, last minute loans being acquired, and all of those things, contracts being approved. Don't you think these last minute changes would affect the takeoff of the renewed hope administration?
You see, when you say you have elected a political office holder, he has a period of 4 years. Until the end of that, for the fourth year, he remains the man at the helm of affairs. So Buhari has a right to appoint or to give to give contract. But you see, it can be checked.
What about the timing?
No, what I'm saying is, it can know if a particular contract is given, and does it mean mobilization has taken place? Does it mean money, have been released? There's all these, appointment that you're talking about. Are you sure the incoming president has not been consulted? Are you sure such has not been consulted? So, because any sensible, person, outgoing leader, either governor, either president, should ideally have felt the pulse of the incoming one. So I wouldn't want to just come here and make a blanket statement. But I want to believe that, and if appointments are made rightly, or wrongly, it can be corrected. That's why, it is continuum. I get. So it doesn't mean, even the president himself had made decisions.
Even if it means someone's ox will be God?
For example, Nigerians, so many people were affected when the CBN, governor, Emefiele, when he came up with his policy, eventually the same administration apologized, to Nigerians. So, you understand? So, which means it is not static. So we should not give ourselves, or bother ourselves, give ourselves unnecessary headaches. We have a man that has capacity to manage this, situation when he gets into office, and that's actually what you want to mention.
What's that? Your smile connotes something, but I can't figure it out.
What my smile connotes is that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to be, a success.
Okay,
in the history of this country.
You said so.
Yes,
so.
Let's
hear from Barrister Moshua. What do you see the way some Nigerians are saying it? Is there any cause for alarm with these last minute changes?
I don't think there is any problem. I see President Muhammadu Buhari as an engine that's supposed to have been put on auto flight long ago. But while it's trying to, while it's ending its journey, the vehicle is being put on auto flight. Ask me why this late appointments when you are going some few days, you are giving some people statutory appointments.
Huge loans.
Huge loans, even judgment debt. You are even giving promissory notes. He had asked National Assembly to approve this debt loan proposition, where if it is signed and approved, then even if there is no money, a promissory note will be given in lieu of such people that people might be owing.
Now, before you go ahead, Barrister Moshua, let's quickly see one of these changes that we earlier talked about, the $800 million World Bank loan. Why is this loan being acquired? The excuse or the reasons for this loan, according to the federal government, is to cushion the effects of subsidy removal.
Palliative, yes. And it was suspended. It was suspended
in this
somewhere along the line. Yes.
In this administration.
Yes.
Could it be, maybe Mr. Ado is right after all. Probably there have been some sort of consultations with the incoming government. With
I don't believe. I want to believe when you look at even the main time decisions were supposed to be made by the present administration, being headed by President Muhammadu Buhari. You discover that most decisions that were made were not made by him. They were made by people around him. Because they will say, on easy lies the heirs that wear the crown. But when you look at decisions being made, it's as if most of these things will have been decided and they just put it before him and he approves of it. How will
that's an assumption.
How will that is? I said I don't. It is an assumption, but your assumption at times may lead you to the fact. When you look at a country that the poverty index is it's unacceptable. You now, even World Bank said they want to give, even for the fact that they even went to the World Bank to ask for such loan. It's an aberration in the first place. And the analysis given by Minister for Finance that a particular number of Nigerians who are not privileged have been identified, about 20 million. They are going to be given 5,000 naira. At a go, people each with 5,000 naira. What would 5,000 naira do? And later they shelve this, and you are still pursuing this loan again. When you collect the loan, what are you going to use it for? So we have experienced a lot of anomalies in this government that ordinarily we pray we are not going to see that again in the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because it's as if the president was as loose guard. It's as if the president was not in charge. It's as if people take decisions, they just bring it to him. And even some areas that the president ought to have even put it upon himself, I take responsibility. We see a president that will say, I am going, when I go, I'm going to Daura and I want to be far from Abuja. Nobody should bring anything to me. That if you disturb me too much, I will even go to another place. I think it is high time. Position of responsibility should be made. There should be a law that will begin to make people, if you are vying for a position of responsibility, you know the pros and cons. If you fail, like in China, if you fail, you know that there are some punitive measures waiting for you.
Okay, we understand that every administration has 4 years.
Yes.
At least 4 years to run the affairs of the country. In his case, he's had 8 years.
Yes.
And it is also expected, it's the norm, the convention, that towards the end of each tenure, especially when there is going to be transition of power, you leave critical decisions for the incoming government to make, which is the norm. But we're seeing something totally different. For instance, about 2 weeks ago, we heard the news of the approval of the seaport here in Ondo State, which has been lying there for years. But about 1 week before the expiration of his tenure, he suddenly thinks that it's time to, to approve this project, which is laudable anyway. But the question is, why now? The Ado Akure road would be inaugurated today. They will be flagged off. Why now?
See, please, if I may chip in this.
Okay.
We discussed about why it was not cited. Dangote Refinery was not cited in Ondo State. Dangote Refinery wouldn't have been cited in Ondo State. Do you know why? Anywhere you want to cite a gigantic project like that, there must be a port. Well, most of the products that will be coming will be on bench. We don't have a port in Ondo State, despite the fact that our sea, in fact, does not even require being dredged. You understand now? That should have come. I think that is the reason why many governments that have come, even before this present government, have been asking for a port, a seaport in Ondo State. And that is the only thing that can attract such gigantic project. It's like putting a cart before the horse. You ought to have gotten where those things, because when you look at the advantage Lagos is having today, Lagos has seaport, they have Tinkan Island, they have Apapa, and all those things that are coming, they will pass through them. So these are the things.
This is not, the question is not about the project in itself.
Yes.
The project is a laudable when I say that.
Yes.
And Ondo State, in fact, it's long overdue.
Yes.
But what I'm talking about is
now that they now brought
why I think why is the approval coming at the end of this tenure?
It is a political, it's like a massaging, it's like they call it political settlement. We have denied you for so long. Most of the things that Buhari is doing presently, Buhari is doing it. They are things that he ought to have done before. He delayed them for one reason or the other. But now that I'm going, let me not offend anybody.
Okay.
And let me begin to do some approval.
Let me hear your view, Mr. Adu.
Yeah, well, you see, when you say why now, the fact remains that constitutionally speaking, is he still the president? Then if he gave his promise that I'm going to make life meaningful for the people of Ondo State, and if the seaport is part of what can enhance that, and he's doing that, can you say he has done what is even though you are?
Do you foresee any policy reversal?
There can never be any policy reversal on the seaport.
Not necessarily the seaport.
Hold on, because Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was here to campaign, and one of the things he said was that in Ondo State, the seaport will become a reality. So as regards that seaport, that one is a done deal. Is sealed.
What about the appointments
when you talk
and
about,
contracts?
Oh, no, hold on. When you talk about the road, Ado-Ekiti, Akure Road, there have been speculations that it was not captured in the budget, in the previous budgets. And that was why they had problem with the contractor and all that. Then it got to a point that they had to now say probably they contacted when the present minister or the outgoing minister of state for transport, that's Barrister Ademola Adegroye, that they had to wade into it and make sure that NNPC took it over. I get it. So NNPC is the one funding that project, and probably that is why, of course, now it is starting, because money have been made available, and it is better it is starting than for it to be forever ignored.
Well, I was able to take the pulse of some Nigerians on some of this issue. I asked questions around, and I am giving you some of the feedbacks that I got. People are concerned because we have seen situations where a government comes in and then begins to reverse appointments, reverse contracts, and this is not in line with my vision. I cannot do this. We do not have enough funds. And remember that the debt profile of the country is huge at the moment. Huge.
That is going to be possible if the incoming is not consulted. If it is established, I'm not talking.
Are we sure he's consulted?
I'm not sure. You see, I'm not talking about. I don't want to come here and speculate. You understand? So, but it could have been consulted when an accountant general, a new accountant general have been appointed. Are you getting me? You can't be too sure. You can't be authoritative. It is only when you have that information that you can say yes, this is it. Are you getting it? And not to fall into that, error. I won't come here, and say what I cannot, of course, substantiate or defend. Okay. But I know there is possibility that on some of these things, and like it could be part of, fulfilling maybe where it didn't consult the incoming, president. It could be part of fulfilling his promise that he had given to a particular, set of people in the country. Okay. That I'm going to do this for you in my administration. And if either he's going and is there to do it. For example, when Jonathan established universities, some universities, it was towards the end, that he established, I think 1 or 2, 3, universities then. But either you like it or not, today those universities have taken shape.
Okay, just to early in the week, I think towards the end of last week, I'm not particularly sure, but Serap came out saying that the Buhari administration must account for the huge amount of money it's collected for the CCTV projects at that time. That's just to say one of many that is being probed now, not necessarily legally, but questions are being asked regarding some of this project. Do you foresee any sort of probe into maybe some level of misappropriation of funds in the next government? Is there a possibility that the Tinubu administration would ask questions regarding some of these monies?
These are laid down rules in governance, and they are avalanche of it everywhere. It is it has to do with the willingness of the person who is taking over the mantle of leadership. When you remember when Governor Akeredolu was inaugurated, later they asked him, will you probe into what your predecessor has done? He said he doesn't have any time to do that. Serap is a pressure group. He has the right, like other prayer group, to ask for that. And with what my brother was saying here before, the President, Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, even like other presidents in other countries, have this avalanche of power, strong power, to appoint till they leave, till the day they hand over. And by the time they do that, it does not really mean, it does not need to consult. Somebody did not consult when you want to give appointment, that you did not consult when you want to award contract, that you didn't even consult when you want to even do some other things. You will now be consulting him that I want to give it. The man is using his power as the telecommunication company will say, pay as you go. He's using it as pay as you go. He's using his time as been laid down by law. And that is exactly what he's doing. So if whatever Buhari might have done will be probed, it is a question asking, begging for answer. We cannot presume what a pregnant woman will deliver, especially even when you have even done the scan. At times, some scan will say it's a female. Some later, after delivering the baby, it will turn out to be a male. But I want to believe and I want to presume. Presumption, no matter how gigantic it is, cannot stand an altar of fact. But I want to presume.
Let's use an analogy as the case study here.
Okay.
Every woman that is pregnant, fine, would not know maybe the gender of the child. But they are called expectant mothers.
Expectant mother, yes.
What are your expectations?
What I am saying is from my own presumption.
What would you expect that the incoming government
Is it my expectation or my presumption?
Your expectation.
Let me talk about my presumption.
Are you being careful?
I have to be careful. Because these are two different governments. And by the time Tinubu starts, you will see that there are two parallel governments, that their waters cannot meet ever. Somebody prepared to be president, and somebody, I believe, maybe when he wanted it, there was no power again. I want to presume Tinubu will be preoccupied, firstly, with launching himself, hitting the ground running, and with all expectations of Nigeria, change the demographic of whatever that is happening. Now, the expectation, my own expectation, is still going to go along with my presumption. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu should hit the ground running. He should leave the issue of probing or no probing. Even Emefiele, they say he will run away. Let the system take care of it. When Senator Ademola became a governor in Osun State, when he started sacking that, I was in one of the sister radio of Adaba, I said, you cannot suffer to make money and suffer to spend it. You though the road to becoming governor by him became very tortuous. But you cannot say because you were tortured, then you want to, vent your anger on people. What I expected him to do is hit the ground running.
Now talking about
face the administration and let the democratic structure lay down, take care of it.
He's in charge of this democratic structure.
Yes,
it will be the number one citizen.
That is what I'm saying. If our laws are made to be strong, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has nothing to do with EFCC. It has nothing to do with ICPC. All that he needs to do is to make sure he entrench and give them more power. Then let whoever that might have done anything wrong come and answer for it.
Okay.
That's what you call body language. I am sure, even though I am not Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that coming on board as the next president of this country, Asiwaju is interested in how Emefiele has managed Nigeria, currency, Nigeria economy. He's interested because what he said in Abeokuta, as regards, the printing, the timing, and the print and the number, the amount of money that Emefiele had told Nigerians that was spent on printing
there
this.
Are 1,001 Emefiele in Nigeria.
Printing.
In some other.
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about the one that the incoming president has spoken publicly about. I'm not talking about other ones, but that particular one, and now even the new notes, we cannot find them. Even when you go to the bank, they give you the whole note.
Out of every 20,
and they told us that they have burnt
21,000. It's only one of the.
So they told us they burnt the new, the old note initially before the reversal. So, but the old notes are everywhere. The new notes we can't find them. So, and yet they have spent huge capital, huge money to print this money. So questions should be asked. And I knew, from what happened in Abeokuta, that Asiwaju, must ask, that let Nigerians are interested.
People say one of the very beautiful attributes of Asiwaju that a lot of his foot soldiers have always talked about is that he has a large heart.
Yes, he has a large heart does not mean he does not have a taste, for scrutiny. That is not.
Asiwaju is no longer the Asiwaju we used to know.
Okay,
he's the president of Nigeria now, not even Lagos State government.
Now talking about
you remember Wiki
because of our time hitting the ground running sounds so beautiful to the ears, but let's talk about the practicality of hitting the workability in our instance now. The debt profile of the country, would it in any way set back Asiwaju's
see, Asiwaju is a man who has proven with his lifestyle that he has capacity to create solution to counter problems. And if he has done it over and over, both internationally in international organizations, coming to Lagos, if he took the IGR of Lagos from less than 1 billion to to that, and today what they have, if he laid this foundation, yes, it is going to be a challenge. But I'm so sure before assuming the office, he must have mapped out strategy to hit the ground running. And you will be impressed that you have a man like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a president in your lifetime. We're looking
forward to the inauguration. Nigerians are looking forward to the inauguration. But before we go on the show this morning, let's hear from other Nigerians as well regarding this issue. 0816251 9991 0816251 9991. That's the number to call. Just two people. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
Yeah, this is Austin from Ishwakoko.
Okay, good to have you.
Thank you. But this refinery inauguration,
okay,
we are very happy about it. But let the federal government, loan maybe 2 or 3 states around, just do them 3 instead of wasting money to flogging a dead horse about the 4 refinery. Because they be pumping a huge amount of billions for turnaround maintenance without any result. So that when they let the 2-3 governors set up a refinery on their own, so that will be on the government side. Because crude oil has about 22 products. Because Dangote will be buying from a federal government, but the byproduct that remains. To do that, government will not be losing all those one. Now, but coming government.
Okay.
That's it. Now, they said politicians or the aspirants, they spend more money, for their campaign and this thing. That's why they give them a huge, amount of money, like what is going on in the National Assembly. Now, this is telling on our revenue, the huge amount they receive. It's telling on our revenue. So they should see to that.
Okay.
So that everything will be okay for the incoming government.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Please, if you must call us, 1 minute is all you have. Time is fast spent. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for calling. What's your name?
Yes, Chief Omobude from Akure.
Please go ahead, quickly.
I think I want to quickly give kudos to the analyst that is with you over there.
Thank you.
The way they are talking, describing Ashwaju Ahmed Tinubu, I think it's a very good one, and it's a welcome development that they know this man very well. But they still have a lot to do. Not only praising him, know him very well now, than to give him a special advice that he make the ground running when he started his own government. Because Nigeria has so many issues on ground to talk about today. So he needs advice, experts that he will join hands to make sure that when he starts his government is going to be as they analyze his government to be. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. That's the much we would be able to accommodate on the program this morning. Many thanks to everyone who has called, and to those who are still trying to call, we apologize. We cannot take more calls. Let's quickly hear your parting shot on the program in just 10 seconds, Barrister Moshua.
Yeah, I want to congratulate Nigerians for this wonderful opportunity, and I pray, just like the last caller said, we need to advise the incoming government, and we need to pray for the incoming government. The Bible says, let us pray for Jerusalem, that whoever that prays for Jerusalem will reap the dividend that comes therein.
Thank you very much, Barrister Moshua. Mr. Adu, your parting shot in 10 seconds.
Well, I want to congratulate myself and congratulate Nigerians for being part of this history that is going to be taking place on the 29th of May. And I want to advise that please make sure you are not being used by anybody, because you may not be able to tell the story.
Okay, that's a good place to end today's conversation. Make sure you're not being used by anyone, so that you do not be the one to go down for it. Definitely, that's a good advice. Next week, Thursday, we'll be back on the show with another topic. I am Olabisi Olani Oluwasegun. Thank you very much for listening. Good morning.